Thanks for watching ERi-TV, dear viewers. Welcome to our news broadcast. Here are the headlines. Implementation of development programs in Northern Red Sea region. Strengthening national associations in Juba, South Sudan. Myanmar authorities burned $446 million of illegal drugs. Hezbollah says it downed Israeli drone in southern Lebanon. In our domestic news, Ms. Asmaret Abraha, governor of the Northern Red Sea region, held meetings with the residents of the subzones of Afabet and Sheb from 22 and 24 June, focusing on the implementation of development programs. In Sheb subzone, Ms. Asmaret inspected the progress of the construction of water diversion schemes, held discussions with the administrators of the administrative areas, village elders and village coordinators, and called for the reinforced participation of all stakeholders in the successful implementation of the charted out development programs. Ms. Asmaret also held a discussion with the residents of Gebgeb administrative area on the impact of the newly constructed microdam on daily activities, and inspected the progress of the construction of a water diversion scheme that is expected to play a due role in the development of irrigation farming in the area. Upon visiting the construction of the dam in an Afabet subzone in cooperation with the residents, members of the Defense Forces and Adhalo Company, Ms. Asmaret was provided with briefings by the coordinators of the project. The participants in the meeting, on their part, conducted extensive discussion of the topics raised at the meeting and adopted various recommendations. Nationals in Juba, Republic of South Sudan, held a meeting on 25 June focusing on strengthening the national associations. The meeting was attended by heads of the Eritrean communities, the National Committee, YPFDJ, owners of heavy trucks, and sports organizations. Speaking at the meeting, Mr. Yohannes Mikael, Eritrea's ambassador to South Sudan, explained the significance of strengthening organizational capacity and called for reinforced participation for a better outcome. Ambassador Yohannes also called on the nationals to strengthen their participation and contribution in the national development programs. In related news, at meetings organized in connection with Eritrea's Martyrs' Day, nationals in Kuwait and Canada expressed their conviction to live up to the expectation of Martyrs' Trust. The commemoration event organized in Kuwait on 26 June featured a candlelight vigil as well as cultural and artistic programs depicting the day. At the commemoration event in connection with Martyrs' Day, nationals in Kitchener and Waterloo, Canada, contributed $6,664 Canadian dollars to augment the National Trust Fund. That was our domestic news. Please stay tuned now for the international news right after the short break. Myanmar authorities torched almost $500 million of illegal drugs, but warned they are failing to stop a surge in the production and trafficking of narcotics. High piles of heroin, cannabis, meth and opium were burnt on Monday in the commercial hub Yangon in an annual spectacle to mark International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Televised torchings also took place elsewhere in the country, with a total of $446 million of narcotics going up in smoke, according to military officials. But in a rare admission, the head of Myanmar Central Committee for Drug Abuse Control said its efforts to crush the multi-billion-dollar trade were having no impact. The Golden Triangle border region of Myanmar, Laos and Thailand has long been a hotbed of illegal drug production and trafficking, particularly of meth and opium. Opium poppy production in Myanmar also ramped up dramatically after the coup, as political and economic turmoil drove farmers to cultivate the crop. Lebanon's Hezbollah group says it has downed an Israeli drone in southern Lebanon near the border with Israel. The group gave no further details. The The Israeli military said one of its drones fell in Lebanese territory during routine activity and that there was no risk of data being scrapped from it. The incident comes after weeks of tensions along the Lebanon-Israel border, mainly in a disputed area known as Shabba Farms. Earlier this month, Israeli soldiers used tear gas to disperse Lebanese protesters who pelted the troops with stones along the border. Some of the demonstrators and Lebanese troops suffered breathing problems. The protest took place on the edge of Kfar Koba Hills, which Beirut says is Lebanese land occupied by Israel. The hills and the nearby Shabba farms were captured by Israel during the 1967 war and claimed by Lebanon. Israeli media reported earlier this month that Hezbollah had set up 2 tents there in Israeli territory. There was no comment from Hezbollah. Please stay tuned now for a recap of tonight's headlines. Implementation of development programs in Northern Red Sea region. Strengthening national associations in Juba, South Sudan. Myanmar authorities burn $446 million in illegal drugs. Hezbollah says it downed Israeli drone in southern Lebanon. And that was our news for tonight, dear viewers. It is good night from us.